Hey folks, I hope you guys are well. So again, I am back with, and I'll continue the same topic that I leave yesterday. So yesterday we were doing enumerate function, how we can write down the code with the help of enumerate function. So today I'll explain what is enumerate function, how can use it in our code, and how is it possible, what are the parameters while we are using this enumerate function. After this, we will jump into our next data type. And again, guys, and one more thing that I have already uploaded the practice sheet and pseudocode sheet that I promised you that I will give you. So go to the first video in and I'll pinned in my comment section where you can where you will get the complete practice sheet and pseudocode sheet, and there were more folder string. In a string folder, all important questions of lead code and code forces questions are given in the string folder. You can start practicing by that place. So let's start. And today we will discuss first topic, that is enumerate function. Okay. So first, let me tell you, I'll let's start with enumerate function. In Python, basically enumerate function, what you understand by enumerate function. So enumerate functions basically lets you loop over a sequence while keeping track of both. Up in this section, in tracking, while tracking, we will track index, position of the item, and the valued actual character in case of a string. So basically, enumerate function, we have a syntax that we can write down here, that is enumerate, and the parameters that we given here is iterable, iterable, okay, this is iterable, and second is starting and start index, so it's always start with 0, so start equals to 0. This is our syntax for the enumerate function. Enumerate function help in the loop over a sequential data type like string, list, and tuple. In iterable, here sequence data type, sequential data type, list, string, and tuple. And the start is basically it is indexing, and it always start from, by default it is 0. Okay. Again, let me take an example in front of you. So I have a word that is Python. In the Python, so I'll add for ideas, that is index, and char in enumerate. So enumerate, I'll write down the word. By default, by default, index start from 0, so no need to give start symbol. Okay, and I'll print what index that is given here, and char that character. So I'll run it. Okay, okay, my bad. It's IDX, that is index. So see, here you can see that is a Python. It's a completely output is like in y index g at index 0 it is showing p, by index 1 it is y, at index 2 it is t, and so on up to index 5 it is n. And also we can use the custom index. Custom index is we can give the any start index in a customized way. So if I'll write down start equals to 2, here you will see output is okay, idx char start 2 and word is Python. Okay. Okay, I'll write down the word 1 and you'll see again the no changes. So, okay, let me change this. I'll write down AI. That is AI 1 and 2. It is start from 1. I hope it is clear right now. So again, I'll check one Agrawal. So its indexing is start from 1, not starting from 0. So this is our enumerate function. Now question is when to use enumerate function in string. So when you need both character and its position in the string, then you can use enumerate function and it is very useful for searching, modifying and debugging. So this is a overview about enumerate function. In string we have already discussed about what is a string, and string is basically a sequence of character usually treated as an array like data structure in programming. Common operations included concatenation, substring extraction, pattern matching, and transformation. In DSA, in string problems, some kind of techniques we have that we use for the problem solving. So these techniques like sliding windows. In sliding windows, it helps in substring searches. Other technique is two pointers. Two pointers helps in one of the famous example of the lead code problem is also that is palindrome checks, and also it helps with hashing. In hashing, we have anagram detection, comparisons, and also rather than this, we have some kind of algorithm, try, KMP, and some suffix structure for advanced and high efficiency searches. And also, we have one of the most important hard concept that is DP, dynamic programming. So the famous examples are edit distance, long common subsequence. So these are the famous techniques and string problems of the lead code that basically belong comes under the category in string. So this is all about your concept string. We also discuss about enumerate function. So and yesterday we have also discussed about how we can use two number, how it will work in a concatenation, how it will work in a integer format. So let's do it one more time. Let's see. I have a two. Okay. Let's I have a x equals to 3. And y equals to 4. Now there I am write down in a single quote. That means this is a string. If I'll print, okay, if I'll print x plus y, you will see that 34. Exactly what is happening? It is concatenating 3 and 4 and it becomes 34. But I need the addition of these two number. I'll given the number in the format of a string, but I need the input in the format of integer 3 plus 4, that should be 7. So how can do it? So I will use typecasting for this. In typecasting, we have some syntax like what number you want, what character you want to change in the other data types. You can use say named function like if you want to convert into integer, you can use int function inside the int function called a variable in which your data, your value is stored. So I'll use x equals to 3 and y equals to 4. So while using typecasting format, so I'll print it. You see, the I'll get I am getting output is 7. So this is all about our string functions and how it is actually working. And also we have discussed about different functions of the string, that is where it is. I think mm, okay. Mm, wait a second. Okay. So we have discussed about different functions like agelnum, agealpha, agedigit, join, lower, replace. All these are the okay. This one is I think so. Mm, yeah, I think for this. Okay. So this is all about string. So today I'll also discuss enumerate function. You can use enumerate function in the list also, tuple also. So now we will discuss about the other data type, that is list data type. So now what is list and how it works in a data structure? So probably lists are the most used built-in data structure in Python. Now questions arise here. Why lists are the built-in data structure? Because they can compose of any number of other data type. Lists are simple representation of arbitrary object like a string. They are indexed by integer starting with 0, and they have contained some kinds of operations also, and these operations are method also. And the common method that we use is list as a function only. Inside the list we have operations like append, extend, count, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, and sort. These are the operations that we use inside the list. So let's discuss one by one how different method perform inside the list. So okay. So what are the different method inside the list? So let me write down the first these methods here. So we have the list. Inside the list, I'll call it value s. And again, we have append function. So as dot append, I'll call our variable x. Okay. Now we have the function extend. So as dot extend. Inside the function, I call extend x. Again, we have the count function. So as dot count. And again, I'll call x here. And also we have a index function. In index function, we have what we have to give in here. I'll say x is starting value and its stop value. So start and stop. Okay. And also we have insert function. So s dot insert, inside the insert we have the iteration and some where we have to put the in where we have to insert the value its position. Again, as now we have the pop function. In pop we have a iteration at what position we have to pop it. And next is s dot it re- we have s dot remove. mm, okay, s dot remove. Inside the remove we call it variable x. And also we have inbuilt reverse function. that we can use it. And also we have sort function inside the list. And sort it is, sorry, it's my bad. It is sort function. In sort function we have to define the key and its reverse of the data. So these are the different method that used in the list. So let's say I'll describe one by one. List of S, that is this one I'm talking about. List of S. List of S basically returns a list of sequence S. And we have append. We have, let's suppose, any element X. So that that element X will append in a list S, and it will append at the end of the S. And same in the extend function. In extend, append the list X to S. In the count function, count the occurrence of the X, element X in S. And also we have index function. It returns the smallest index I, where I must be equals to X. Can be include operational start and stop index for the search. Again, we have the insert method where we have to put this element at what index, pop what element have to remove from what position, remove. Now we have to remove element from the list. Reverse, it will reverse the order of the list. Sort, sort as with optional key is optional, and reverse. So how exactly list works? So when we are working with list and other container object, it is important to understand the internal mechanism that Python uses to copy them. Python creates real copies only if point to the same memory location. A new slot in memory will only be allocated if one of the variable changes. This is a complete process how a list works and its memory concept also. So this has the important consequences of mutable compound objects such as list. So this is how about internal working of the list. Let me tell you again. So let's say I have a list and also have other container objects. So now it's important to understand the internal mechanism, how to Python use to copy them. Python create a real copy of it, and if it has to, then when we assign the value of a variable to another variable, both these variables point to the same memory location. If new slot in memory will be allocated if one of the variable change. The new slot not be allocated if the new variable isn't find out. So new slot plot it. This has the important consequences of mutable compound objects such as list. Also one thing, list is a mutable data structure. So let's see that an example, and you will understand very quickly. So I'll say I have the mm, value x equals to 1 and y mm, y equals to 2 and z equals to 3. Correct? Okay. So I'll call it list 1. Inside the list 1, I'll write down x, y, z. Okay. And if I'll call it one more list 2, and it is equals to list 1. So, and I'll put one more thing, list 2 of 1 is equals to 4. Okay. And I'll print list 1. See, you will see the output exactly what we are getting. Mm, List it to sorry, it's my mistake here. So now it will works here. You can see I was put given 1, 2, 3. But what we are getting in the output 1, 4, 3. Why? Because I create a list XYZ. I'll put the value of XYZ inside the list. Now value is 1, 2, 3. But now I take another variable list 2 and I'll give the value of list 1 to the list 2. And in the list 2, I change the variable at index 1 at with the value 4. So I'll print list 1. I'll again get it 143. So this is a complete working of the list, and there's a consequence of mutable compound object that happened in the list. So I hope this is understandable to you guys. Here you can see the list 1 and list 2 variable point to the same slot in memory. So when we change y variable to 4, we are changing the same variable that list 1 pointing to. So this was the concept that I was trying to tell you. And also the another important feature of the list is that they can contain nested structure. Now, what do you mean by nested structure? Nested means nested structure of the list that we can call it nested list. So, can I say list inside the list? Yes. Nested list means list inside the list is basically a nested list. So, let's see an example. Okay, I'm giving a variable called as items. In the items, I'll take a list. Inside the list, I'll use a different list. So I'll give an rice, sorry, a rice 2.4, 2.4 and 8. Okay, okay, it's my bad. I think laptop. Hmm. H. I'll put comma here and I'll take another list and I'll give the okay beans, toast, and all. Okay, it is looking good. Okay, my list is now we have a list, so I'll apply a for loop on the item with an variable item in items. Item means an a variable that is stored our nested list concept. So and I'll print it. How can we call it? So here, let's see one more concept. How can we write down the print function inside the print function? What we can write down. So I called it one word product. Inside the product, okay, I'll put colon and I'll use percent s. Percent s means that is it is a integer. Percent 2f that means is a float. And next is d that means your um, double value. So okay, I'll use here I. I means integer. Okay, here you can see we have the three lists. In list one, we have the rice 2.48. In the list two, we have beans 1.210. In the list three, we have the milk 3.5 and 5. And you can see here, in each list, we have the three different values that we have stored heterogeneous value here. And let's call it the product. In the product, we have rice beans and milk, that is string format. Price we have in decimal format, and quantity in the integer format. So here we can easily figure out how exactly we can store the data inside the list, and how it, and we can easily see how it is working. So from this example, we can see we can access the list value using the bracket operations, and since lists are mutable, so they are copied in place. So these are the examples that we can demonstrate how we can use to update the element. Okay, I hope this is also clear. So one assignment for you guys, if you're watching this video. So let's say we are raising the price of floor by 20%. So how you can write down the code by raising the price of floor by 20%? So this is we have to what we have to do. Let's say we are raising the price of floor. Floor it is okay, not okay. Okay. Let's say beans by 20%. So what would be your approach? So write down your answer in comment section, and I'll check it. And also, if we have discussed about the list, so in the list we have also one more type, that is list comprehension. List comprehension is can be quite flexible. For example, if we consider a code, a code is like this, like this. We have a function def. We have function def f1. Inside the f1, we call it x, and x call it, and it is returning x multiply into 2. And again we have one more function def f2, and I'll f2 and call it again x, and also it will return something, so it is returning x multiply by 4. So okay, so we have one more list, that is empty list here. In empty list, and now we are putting here a range loop here for I in range. In range, we call it up to 16, and 16, and here we use lst dot append. And okay, let me do more complex this code. Okay, this is the mm, okay, perfect. And I'll print lst. Okay, here you can see one error is we can show it. So let me write down function for this one. So I'll use print. Inside the print, I'll call it f of 1 f1 and f1x. For in range, and for range we call it here 64. Inside 64, and also we are giving condition here, if x in f2, f2, and here we are giving condition j, Again for change, so I'll write down here that is 16. Let me check. Here you can see we are what we are getting. Here 0, 4, 8, 16, 40, 48, 56, 622 into by 2 and by 4 both. And we have used range of 16 and range of 64. So we have used for different range and we're getting same value. So this is our example of list comprehension, how list comprehension is used, and what is the other usage of list comprehension. List comprehension can also be used to replicate the action of nested loop in a more compact form. In more compact form, let's say we can use nested list. In the nested list, I'll use two variable I and j. I'll multiply of it I into j. I'll call a for loop for I and j both. And for I, it will start from 0 index. For j, it will start from 1. And easily you can see the output. I and j will multiply of each value. So this is your case number 2. Now jump to our case number 3. In case number 3, we can also use the list comprehension with higher objects such as a string to build more complex structure. Okay, so let's see the scenario of this last case. Now, let's say I have the variable words. In the words, we have a string format value. So I'll say here is a sentence. In a sentence, I'll say dot split dot split and dot split here. So I'll call it again a string. Here I'll write down word, len of word, len of word. Okay. Mm, and I'll put a for loop here for word in words. Okay. So this is all about and I'll run it. Yes, you can see here 4 is 2 and A1 and sentence 8. So as we will see list from the foundation of any data structure. So we will look at this versatile nature, easy of creation, and use enable them to build more specialized and complex data structure. So this was the complete concept about uh, list comprehension. In the same way, you can also apply this concept in the dictionary. Dictionary, basically dictionary consists of key and value pairs. So with the help of dictionary, you can also use list dictionary comprehension in the similar manner as we use at list comprehension. And this is about the data types. So again, we have one is user defined where we discuss a class. So in the class, basically, we have to read about the function. So we'll discuss function as a first class object. So what we are going to discuss here, I'll function object. So in the Python class object function as a first class object, it's not only data type that are related to an object. Both functions and classes are what are known as the first class object. Now it is allowing allow, allowing them to be manipulated the same ways as built-in data type. So by definition, first-class objects are first-class objects. So here we can created a runtime. We have created a runtime. Second, that I'll say we can assign as a variable or in a data structure. And now point number three, it can be returned as the result of a function. Result of a function. So by definition of first class objects are we can create a runtime, assign a value or in a data structure, we can return as a result of function. And one more thing that we can use inside the function that is I'll say we can pass an argument first as an argument. Now in function, there's a one more concept that you have to know that if function inside the function first we use the def keyword to create a function. Def keyword we use the parenthesis. In parenthesis we have the parameter. And these parameter we can call it. And this calling method is called the argument. I hope this is clear. This is much clear to you guys. So this is function as a first class object. So in the Python, the term Python first class object that I am saying again and again. The first class object is nothing but a bit of misnomer since it implies some part of hierarchy where all Python's objects are essentially first class. So also we can use a simple function and you will easily figure out what is first class object and why these four properties are mentioned here. So let's take an example. An example is something like this. We have the function def function greeting. Okay. In greeting, I call language lang. Inside the lang, if lang equals to English. Okay, if it is English, then we have to return hello world. We have to return hello world. Okay. Okay, we can also. Okay, let's see. So- And again, we call it if lang equals to equals to. I'll say mm, fr. Okay, let's call it trans also. So we have to return this word and not net. Now we can also apply here else case say. In else case में we will return support. Okay. So here we are, it is a user-defined functions. So each user-defined functions are object. We can do things such as include them in other objects such as list. So this is about how we can use, how we can implement. And function also can be used in argument for other function. For example, if we define the code, we have a function call, def call. We have a call parameter f. Call is English and return f of line. And now call f that we call it in first function used as a argument inside, and we call it greeting, and we will our greeting message in the output. I hope it is much clear to you guys.